Good morning, everyone, and happy Monday to everybody. If for some reason I go mute, just kind of a heads up, I'm getting over a cold, so I don't want to cough in everybody's ears. So if it goes silent for a second, that's the reason why. So haven't gone anywhere. Um, my name is Tony Butler. I'm one of the life sales directors here at Insurance Agency Marketing Services, and today we're going to be going over one of our top webinars we seem to get a lot of participation with and a lot of interest on. This is going to be with NGL. John Entingh is going to be joining me. He's one of our top producers. But before we get started with John, a couple of housekeeping items I'm going to quickly go through here. So let's get started. First and foremost, if you're a producing agent, I'm sure you're getting business through referrals. Um, Here at IAMS, we do appreciate referrals as well. So we do have an IAMS Business Builders referral producer program, which basically means that if you refer a agent to us and they get appointed with one of our carriers that we work with, we do provide you with a $50 referral bonus. Any business or any subsequent business, I should say, that agent writes with those carriers, we do provide you with a 20 basis points um, bonus as well. That doesn't take away from the business that they submit. That's just our way of saying to you, thank you for providing the additional business to us. Next, we have a new producers builders. With our new producer builders, we've revamped that, so we now have 5 different levels. We have the $100,000, $250,000, $500,000, $750,000, and $1 million. These are for our new producers. If you have gotten appointed with us within the first 90 days of getting appointed, 180 days, I should say. Also, if you're an agent that has been appointed and has not submitted any business at all, you do qualify for the new producers builders. This is paid production, so if you have questions regarding the different levels, please don't hesitate to give me a call. Next, we do have back office support for you. We like to help you work smarter, not harder. So one of the primary things that we do that saves you as the agent a lot of time is paperless contracting. That is painstaking work if you're familiar with filling out appointment paperwork. So we take a lot of that process out by offering paperless contracting. Um, we also help with case designs, quotes, etc. for you. So if you have questions or you need assistance, we like to help you from submissions to commissions is what we like to say. So uh, please don't hesitate to give us a call. We also have a creative marketing solution team. The creative marketing solution team provides turnkey agency and digital solutions. What that means is on turnkey solutions, they are able to provide ready to print professionally handwritten handouts, flyers, newsletters, and postcards. From an agency solution standpoint, we can help you with branding materials, whether it be a logo design or you're trying to redesign your logo. You're looking for business cards, brochures, stationery, advertising. And if you're looking to get into the digital marketing space, we do offer assistance with personal website, digital marketing strategies, social media consulting, online newsletters, email marketing. Um, Reach out to Jacob and his team. They'd be more than happy to answer any questions that you have and provide additional information to you on what we offer. We also have a website, which I'm sure all of you are aware of. It is a 24/7 website. We have excellent sales tools available for you agents that write life business. You do have the ability to run term and universal life quotes on our website. Our website does allow you to access forms from the carriers that we work with. And if you're an annuity or a long-term care agent, we do have an annuity product grid available to you, as well as long-term care product grid. Also, in the annuity life vein, we do have a single premium life grid, which provides you with information on all the carriers that we work with, and a breakdown to those products that those carriers offer on a single premium life front. Next, we have the Retirement Analyzer. Now, the Retirement Analyzer is designed for you to answer questions from your clients, such as, can I continue my present standard of living into my retirement years? When can I retire without running out of money? How would it affect my family if I were to die prematurely? We do offer this analyzer on a 30-day free trial basis. Outside of that, if you are a producer, whether it be 250,000 in production on annuities or single premium life, again, 250,000, we do offer that analyzer at no cost. So if you have additional questions regarding our analyzer, again, please feel free to give us a call. We also have an IAMS wealth management team. The wealth management team is there to help you increase your business revenue, improve client retention, and strengthen client relationships. What that means is if you have higher net worth clients with more investments assets than your regular clients, the wealth management team would be definitely a team that you would need to speak to. For additional information regarding that, please give either Charles, Mike, Joan, and Sarah now a call, and they'd be more than happy to let you know what's available to you. Now, if you're an annuity or a life producer and you've been with IAMS for some time, you know that we do a Life and Annuity Academy. We try to do this at least once a quarter. It is a 2-day training that we pay for, meaning we pay for your travel, we pay for your lodging, and it's a 2-day training that we discuss sales ideas and strategies. We have some of our top producers come in and talk about different strategies that work. We talk about wealth transfer tools, large life case marketing, things of that nature. We actually sent out, I believe, an update to all of our agents that the next academy is going to be May 6th through the 8th. It's going to be in West Des Moines, Iowa. It's going to be co-presented with Athene. So if you're appointed with Athene, if you're writing business with Athene through us, and you want to attend, please let us know. I do have a polling question in regards to the Life and Annuity Academy. So if you would like to get additional information regarding the Academy, I'm pulling up this polling question right now. Please go ahead and respond, and I'll make sure to get some additional information out to you. I'll leave this up here for a few more seconds so everybody has an opportunity to reply. Okay, I'll go ahead and close this down. And also, as previously mentioned, IAMS Wealth Management. If you would like additional information regarding IAMS Wealth Management, I do have a polling question for you on that as well. I'll leave that up for a little bit. And for those of you that are interested in getting additional information, we'll make sure to get that taken care of for you. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and close that out. All right, we're in the home stretch here. Lastly, we have a few trips that are coming up. The first one is the IAMS Athene 2020 Marketing Summit. That's going to be August 26th through the 29th of 2020 this year. The invitational period is July 1st of 2019 through June 30th, 2020. So if you have questions regarding the IAMS Athene Marketing Summit, please give us a call. We have a couple other trips that we're having in 2021. The first is Paradise on the Pacific. It's the IAMS Marketing Summit. It's March 7th through the 11th. Qualification periods are from July 1st of 2019 through December 31st of 2020. The qualification requirements are 3.5 million points. If you have questions regarding that, please give us a call. And lastly, we have the Shores of Serenity. That is March 11th through the 14th of 2021. Minimum qualifications on that. Qualification periods are the same, July 1st through December 31st. 6.5 million points is qualification requirements for that. If you get 8.5 million or more, you qualify for both trips. So with that, Mr. Entingh, you available?
I am. Good morning.
All right, good morning. All right, I'm going to make you the presenter.
All righty. And I see that, and I'm good to go.
All right. Well, everyone, John Entingh.
Thank you very much, Tony. Appreciate it. Good morning, everybody. Monday morning, ready to get back to work, and very happy that I have this opportunity to share a product that we've implemented in our business for almost 15 years now. And the word's really getting out into the field that this is a great add-on opportunity for your financial service business. The first thing I like to do is just start out by telling you that I am in the field. I am an actual producer. I don't work for NGL. I'm not coming from a home office perspective. So anything I'm sharing with you, this has been time tested. We do use it in our business, and you can see from my viewpoint, which will look similar to yours. I'm sure we're all working in the same demographics of how this can be a nice fit for what you're currently doing in your business. So what we'll do today is we'll cover the opportunity that exists in the marketplace with this product. We'll talk about the trust that NGL offers at no cost to protect the client's money. Talk about the product we use to fund the trust, give you some presentation ideas and tools that you can use immediately. And then we'll talk about NGL itself, the company, which has been nothing but a perfect experience for me over the last 14 to 15 years of doing business with them. The opportunity's big. This was brought to me, again, 14 or 15 years ago from a mentor of mine in the business. I didn't know anything about it at all, but he told me it was a great opportunity to maybe add another 40, 50, $60,000 a year of revenue to my business. And when he told me that, and I knew I was already aligned in the proper demographics to talk to people about this, I took that opportunity and I ran with it. And again, here we are 14, 15 years later, sharing our story with how we use it in our practice with agents across the country. And we want to do one thing anytime we're in the planning business. We're helping people plan for significant events in their lives. And one of those events is the passing of a loved one. I'm sure that's no more illustrated than all the news that we've heard over the last couple of days, is that you really don't know when your time's coming. So to have that plan in place is very important. And we're going to do the same thing with this that we would do with any financial client. We're going to show them what their options are related to when they pass away. We're going to tell them about the plan that we use, and then we're going to show them where to get the funds at to go ahead and get this set up and have it put aside to take that burden off of their family members. So funeral and final expenses aren't any different when it comes to planning. Someone's going to need to determine the services and pay the bill. The question is going to become who and when. So there's a couple different options there. The first one would be the deceased getting it all planned out prior to their death. And this is going to be that part where it requires the planning and the guidance on the advisor's part to move those people forward to get it done. But sometimes it doesn't get done, and then that's left up to the survivors afterwards. And I had a personal experience. I'll give you a little bit of a background on me. I'm the youngest of 5 children. I've always been the entrepreneur of the family, but my mom and dad divorced when I was 2 years old, so I wasn't real close with my father. We never had discussions about, him passing away or what would happen. But on January 21st of 2011, I got a phone call from my sister to let me know that my dad had passed away. And The next day, I found myself sitting in a funeral director's office getting asked all kinds of questions. What was your dad's mother's maiden name? What was his highest rank in the military? Who is his pallbearers? What's his favorite flowers? And these were all questions that I didn't have answers to. But one of the things that I realized really quickly was all these clients that I'd been helping out by getting their planning done, I had been doing a great service for their family because they weren't in the position that I was in. So again, this really solidified what we were doing for our clients. With National Guardian Life, there's a couple different choices. They can plan and pay for their funeral. That's the pre-need side. That's where they go into a funeral home and they pick out everything in advance, and they pay the funeral director to have that prepared for them. The second part would be the pay for the anticipated expenses, or the final expense side. That's where we would come in as an advisor. We would say, hey, let's get this put into place. Let us show you a different and better way to have this prepared than going into a funeral home and picking out your own casket. So one of the things you need to let your clients know is some people are really out of touch with what a funeral costs. The average cost of a funeral right now is around $15,000. So one of the questions you can ask your clients is, hey, if something happened to you yesterday, how would your funeral be paid for today? And then the important part there is you just got to be quiet and listen carefully, because you will hear different answers. I have an old life insurance policy. My daughter knows I have a CD over at the bank that I've designated for my final expenses. But if you listen to that answer, that'll help you pivot into the next phase of showing them a better way to do what they're currently doing with their money that they've set aside for their funeral. Now, the opportunity out there we know is huge, because they did a national survey. 72% thought it was a great idea to pre-plan, but 64% of those people had not taken any steps to get the planning done. And we feel the reason for that is, a husband and a wife don't wake up on a beautiful morning and they're laying in bed and the one looks at the other and says, hey, why don't we go pick out our caskets today and plan our funeral? The human mind can only really visualize for about 11 seconds your final demise, and then that goes right out of your mind. And here's one thing I know for sure, because I'm out doing this all the time. Your clients aren't any different. They're the same people I'm working with. The difference between me and the agents or financial advisors on the line today is we're talking about it with our clients. And if you're in this business, you should be very excited to learn a product like this and add it into your portfolio to talk to your clients about. Because if you're in this senior market, your client base, your prospect base is growing and growing and growing, and there's no end in sight. So if you can perfect it now and you're really good at it, think about over the next 4 or 5 years, like we've done here at Entingh Financial Services, where it just becomes part of your daily talk with your prospective clients and your current clients, how much business you could write and how much opportunity is out there in the future. So how we start a conversation, a lot of times that this will come up through, is we'll point this stat out to our clients. 69% of all Americans older than 65 are going to need nursing care. We all know that. We're in the financial services business. The national average cost of long-term care is $82,000 to $92,000 per year, and that growth is going up about 4% a year, and the cost of care. So when we talk about this, we'll ask our clients, do you have any long-term care protection? We know the answer typically is going to be no, because the stats show us 93% of all Americans have not done any planning to protect their assets from a long-term care event. So when we ask them this, we'll start the conversation with, do you understand that if you don't have protection and you need care and you have to start spending your money down, you're eventually going to end up on Medicaid? And what we would like to do is show you how to protect those funds from that spend down. So how does all this fit together? NGL's basically developed an insurance product. They've combined it with an irrevocable funeral trust. It allows the client to set that money ahead permanently. They'll set those funds aside for their final expenses. And then by having the trust hold that money, it's effectively spending that money down and taking it off of their asset sheet for a Medicaid spend down situation. Really, what we're saying here is we're protecting the asset for the client. So the trusts that are used at National Guardian Life, we'll talk about those just a little bit here. Their protection proof from creditors. The benefits that pay out of it are going to be 100% income tax free. The funds are available immediately. I'm going to tell you why that's important here in just a minute. The trusts are free, so they are not charging the client for this trust. If I work with an elder law attorney, and if you wanted to go down and do an irrevocable trust with him to start protecting money, he just needs a check for $7,500 up front, and then that'll get up to about 15 grand by the time the planning's done. Some people do need that extent of planning. A lot of people are just looking to protect a little bit of money, and we can help them with that. Everybody's going to qualify for that trust assignment. The death proceeds are going to be used for their funeral expenses. There's no probate cost or delays. And a real important thing here is the funds are totally portable. Here's what I mean by that. You could buy a plan in Ohio today, find out that your kids and your grandchildren are moving to Florida, decide to follow them down there, and now that's where you're going to be laid to rest. And you can use this with any funeral home in the country, unlike if you went and prepaid for your funeral here locally at a local funeral home, and then you decided to move to Florida. That option now just comes down to the funeral home that you paid for in Ohio. So again, if you're going to do your planning, you might as well have it set up to be flexible and to be able to be used as life changes. So here is just kind of a grid on how the trusts compare to other financial instruments. And what we're looking for here on the grid is a yes in every column. And you can see that with the irrevocable funeral trust, it's really the only one that's going to give us that yes across the board of what we're looking to do, which is to protect the client's money and compare it against traditional savings instruments. So how's the trust work? It's really pretty easy in concept. I'll just kind of walk you through a typical client. I'll walk you through a client I just did. Got a referral from my elder law attorney. The lady came down here to meet with me. Her husband is currently in a nursing home, which she can sign as his spouse. We never saw the client in the nursing home. We were still able to do a plan for him. So she came down. I explained to her that this isn't about growing the money. This is about protecting the money and getting a little bit of growth as we go along. So in her case, we took $25,000, $15,000 on him because he wants to have a huge Catholic funeral, and $10,000 on her. She's going to do more traditional, and we put that money into a single premium life plan. Now, it's unlike your other single premium life plans. We put that $25,000 in. Between the two of them, it gave a total death benefit of about $25,500 starting out. But we put that money in there, and then we assign that policy to the irrevocable funeral trust. Now that money becomes protected from Medicaid spend down. So it's 100% off of their financial ledger when it comes to the planning to get the husband qualified for the Medicaid spend down. So that money's going to sit in there and it's going to earn interest. National Guardian Life just had a change on their interest rate. I'll go over what that is with you here in a minute. But really, it's how you propose it to the client. It's about protecting money. It's not about seeing how big we can get this money. So the money goes into the irrevocable funeral trust. At death, what happens at Entingh Financial Services, and we train our clients to do this, is our client will call us. She'll say, hey, John, Bob passed away. I'll say, hey, what funeral home are they going to be using? She'll give me that information. I'll call the funeral home. I'll get the fax number and the contact of the person who does their processing for them. Then I'll call National Guardian Life. I'll say, hey, here's the client's name, contract number, here's the funeral home, here's the fax number. At that point, I'm out of it. National Guardian Life is going to deal directly with the funeral home. National Guardian Life's not going to require a death certificate. And within 48 hours, those funds are going to be at the funeral home. So that's important because a funeral home will not do anything, not even a showing, without money in their hands. So any money that's not used under the irrevocable funeral trust, say we had a $15,000 death benefit and the funeral came out to be $14,000, that extra $1,000 has to be paid back to the estate because, again, we gave up that ownership through the irrevocable funeral trust to protect it from a Medicaid spend down. So we do have to have the excess funds paid back to the estate after death. So there's two different trusts with National Guardian Life, and this will become real important when you're talking with your clients. The first one is going to be the Funeral Expense Trust. It has a $15,000 maximum amount that you can put in per spouse. That is in Ohio. I'm going to show you a slide here in a couple minutes of the states and what you're allowed to put into the funeral trust in your state, because I see we have a ton of people on here. I'm sure they're from everywhere. But what it's going to do is it's going to help them exclude that asset in order to qualify for a Medicaid when applying immediately. Now I'm going to share something with you. The client I was talking about that was sent to me from the elder law attorney, and I always say this about him, he's always in a hurry. He sent me them last Monday. They're applying for Medicaid on February 1st. So I was able to get that done and get $25,000 of their assets protected before they applied for Medicaid. And then what would happen is after that, the trust is going to pay those funeral costs like I showed you on the previous slide. Any excess funds will go to the estate of the insured. Now, when we compare that to the NGL Estate Planning Trust, you can actually put up to $100,000 per spouse. The difference is going to be the planning trust is going to have a 5-year look back period on it. So you put the money in there, at the end of 5 years, it's 100% excluded from a nursing home. So if you think about that, that's a really unique opportunity for no cost to the client. If they didn't have a funeral trust and they wanted to pay for their funeral out of the estate planning trust, which they can, they would pay that funeral cost. But with this one, any excess funds will be returned to the beneficiary that's listed on the initial application when you submit it. So it doesn't have to go back to the estate of the insured because we're using that 5-year look back period. So I speak at the Advisor Academies. The one that they mentioned is coming up in May. I'll be at that one. And when I do this presentation, I always get the question, John, when do I use which trust? So in this scenario, the Funeral Expense Trust, again, it's a great crisis planning tool. I just shared with you the client that was sent to me. We were able to protect that $25,000. Maybe Medicaid's possible within 5 years. So maybe you have some clients who are receiving home health care, or they have a spouse in the nursing home and they're paying that spouse's way, but they're looking at their balance sheet and they're saying, hey, you know, at $6-7 grand a month, within 5 years, we may have to qualify for Medicaid. So a good opportunity to get that money protected that they know they're going to be giving to the nursing home eventually. And then we do a lot of in-house seminars and also public seminars. And anytime we meet with a client, we'll ask them, have you prepaid your funeral? If they say no, we'll share our story with them. And a lot of times those clients, they just want their funeral expenses paid for, and they just want to know it's done now and behind them. So those are great opportunities as well. And then with the estate planning trust, maybe Medicaid is a non-issue. Now, 5 years from now or never, I have a client that we just got through the 5-year period. They had each put $100,000 in 5 years ago because they told me that, hey, we're never buying long-term care insurance. And even if we had to blow through all of our money, we want to know that we have at least this amount that'll be going down to our children. So again, we set that up. If they went in tomorrow and had to spend every other asset they had, that $200,000 plus the growth that we get and have been getting will all go to their children tax-free and cannot be attached by the nursing home. And that's the real opportunity with this product. So you have an opportunity to pick up as little as you want or up to $200,000 of funds with National Guardian Life. So the product itself is the NGL Asset Guard. It's just a fixed rate, single premium life policy. Here's your individual state limits. If you take a look here, you can see in Ohio, 15,000 is our limit. But let's take a state like Nebraska where IAMS is located at. If I'm dealing with an agent there and he says to me, well, I can only put $4,916 into the funeral expense trust, I'm going to say, well, yeah, you can, but you could also take that difference, the other 10,000, and put it into the estate planning trust and get that 5-year clock ticking. Maybe you live in New York and you can't use the funeral trust at all. It's still the estate planning trust is there, and you can say, hey, you can use this for your final expenses. We just have a 5-year look back period. And as we all know, 5 years goes extremely quick. And just to point that out to you, I remember in 2016, we were having the election and we're already in 2020 talking about the next one. How quick did that 4-year period of time go? So again, don't let the limits limit what you're still able to do through National Guardian Life for your client. Here's all the expenses that can be paid for out of the irrevocable funeral trust. So you can see that just about everything that you would want to have covered with the funeral can be paid for out of the funeral trust. So I'm only going to talk to you about the single pay. And with the single pay, they have changed some limits on it. They've raised the minimum face amount to $2,500. So that is the new limit. The growth rate on the National Guardian Life Asset Guard is at 0.5%. The growth rate on the estate planning trust, on the funeral expense trust is 0.5%. On the estate planning trust is 1%. National Guardian Life was forced to go that route recently just due to the interest rate environment. And as you know, we're seeing that with every insurance company with their interest rates. There's one health question. The only plan we use at Entingh Financial is the single pay. But again, they have a multi-pay. If that fits into your practice, you can certainly look at that. But we'll focus on the single pay for now. You can write it from 0 to 99. So again, it's a very wide open prospect base for you. There's only one health question on the application. If your client answers no, they're going to get a standard issue. If they answer yes, they're going to get a guaranteed issue. Where you're going to see that is in your commission amount. So it increases daily with simple growth. So you put the 100,000 in, you're getting a 1% interest rate. That interest rate is being credited daily. So again, daily with simple growth, 1% on the estate planning trust, 0.5% on the funeral trust. Now, if you don't like paperwork, you're going to love doing business with National Guardian Life. I love to tell this story. I wrote my first annuity in 1993. I was sitting with the owner of a dry cleaner in Marion, Ohio, and I sold him a $25,000 annuity. I couldn't believe someone would push a $25,000 check across the table to me, let alone let me walk out with it. But the interesting thing with that was on that annuity, his application was 3 pages, and the last page was a receipt. So if you're in the annuity business today or the life business and you write a lot of business, you understand these applications now can be, 20 to 30 to 35 pages long. With National Guardian Life, it's 2 pieces of paper, your state replacement form, and you're good to go. So again, it makes it real simple to do business. Here's what the application looks like. The top part of it's pretty simple. You're just gathering their information. On our applications, we're marking single pay. Then we're going to come down there to that health question. Again, if they answer yes, they're going to get guaranteed issue. If they answer no, then they're going to get standard issue, but everyone is going to get issued. Here at the bottom, you're going to have the client sign off. You're going to sign off with your information so we can get you paid. And then this is just a receipt if they give you cash with application, so you can leave it with the client. Now, here is the funeral expense trust assignment form. So watch when you're writing a plan and make sure you have the right disclosure. There's only two. It's either the funeral expense trust or the estate planning trust. Now, what's interesting with this is at the bottom of this page, and I'll use the client that I just wrote the 25,000 on. Typically what happens is when you send your application up, after it's been issued, 45 days from the day of issue, National Guardian Life moves it over into the irrevocable funeral trust. With my situation, the attorney wanted to apply for Medicaid on February 1st. Well, that's, I did the app a week ago. So I didn't have the 45 days. So here at the bottom of this disclosure, you can have the client waive the 45-day period and get that money put into the irrevocable trust at issue. And that's exactly what we did for this client. We were able to protect the 25 grand before they applied for Medicaid, and we were able to get that money into the trust immediately. So what happens when you're now going to present this to clients? And I'm going to say this to you. When I sold my first annuity back in 1993, it was $25,000 annuity. I didn't know hardly anything about annuities. Today, we write millions of dollars a year worth of annuities, and I can teach a class on it. And it's not because I'm the smartest guy in the world, but it's just like this program. I took the time to learn it, to understand it, to start talking about it, to implement it in my business, to stand behind a company that's treated me so well over the last 14 to 15 years that I can always speak confidently about them. And then what I do, I start presenting it to my clients. So what I would tell you is when you're going to present it to clients, the easiest way to get started with this is talk to your clients about it on your annual review. One thing I know about clients, if you're going back for an annual review, they trust you and they like you. So if I was going into my annual review, I may start the conversation with, hey, Mrs. Jones, it's great to see you. I need to ask you a question that's really important. Would you agree that all the advice I've given you in the past has worked out the way that I had explained it to you and that we had hoped it would? Well, you know what the answer is going to be. It's going to be a yes. And then at that point, it's, well, something's been brought to my attention that I think we've neglected with our clients. And we are talking to every client about this. And I'm going to help you solve this problem tonight. Have you prepaid your funeral? And depending on the answer, if they tell you no, hey, it's an open door. You can really have a good conversation. If they say yes, then you can say to them, well, do you have any money that you know for sure that you would like protected from a nursing home if you had to go into a nursing home situation and go to the people that you love dearly that you would like to be the beneficiaries of it? If they tell you yes on that, then you're talking about the estate planning trust, and now you're talking maybe about $100,000, $200,000 deal. So again, start with your current clients and present that funeral trust funding idea. Hey, look, one thing we all know for sure, we're going to pass away at some time. And stress those benefits of planning ahead. I had an agent ask me at one of the previous academies, he said, oh, John, I don't know how to say this to you the right way, but I wish I had your story about your dad. And I said, well, I understand where you're coming from because it is a good story to be relatable in this planning, but you can still use my story. Just tell them it's a friend of yours and this is what happened to him. And I want to make sure that this doesn't happen to you and your family. And then stress that point that it can be used with any funeral home. And then be aware of this. We pick up a lot of business on this. You can 1035 exchange existing life insurance cash values into this plan. Understand that your clients you're working with, they do not understand that when they pass away, that on the majority, I'm going to say 99% of life insurance plans, they do not get the cash value and the death benefit when they pass away. So I'll use an example of a client that we did some business with. They had about $75,000 in cash value, and they had about $90,000 of death benefit. And when we explained to them, when you die, you get the $90,000. And then we also explained to them that, hey, if 75,000 is your money and they're paying 90,000 at death, in reality, you only have a $15,000 death benefit. The other 75 is your money. So doesn't it make more sense to 1035 exchange that 75,000? I know we're losing 15,000 in death benefit, but we're protecting money that they're going to make you spend at a nursing home. And that client actually moved forward in the process with it. So any of those old policies, the old paid up policies that have 6,000 in cash value and 7,500 in death benefit are great candidates to protect that money for that client. And then again, this is where we get paid, close the sale. That client is going to have that peace of mind of knowing that they've planned ahead and that those funds are protected from a nursing home spend down. If you've been in this business long enough, you know people's number one concern is losing their money to a nursing home, but it's also their number one inaction in their planning. They don't take any action to protect that money. Maybe you can help them do that. So where do you find the money? Look, here's the nice thing about this plan, and I say this to our clients when we do a deal with them. I'll say to them, hey, Mrs. Jones, if you really think about it for a minute, we're not even buying anything today. All we're doing is taking money that is countable towards being spent at a nursing home, and we are just repositioning it into something that is not countable and that has to be spent at the nursing home. So again, the money can come from anywhere: CDs, money markets, old life insurance policies, 10% penalty free withdrawal provisions on annuities. If you've written a bunch of annuities and understand that 93% of all annuities are passed at death onto the beneficiaries, why not pull the 10% out? Do you got to pay the taxes? Sure you do. It's last in, first out. But you know what? Someone's going to pay the taxes at some point. So I would rather pay the taxes and protect the money than try to avoid paying the taxes and lose my money to the nursing home. So very important to stress that to the client. And again, we've had clients say to us, well, mom has a CD at the bank and she's told me when she dies, I'm to get that money and use it to pay for her funeral. Well, why leave it at the bank exposed to being lost to a nursing home when we can move it into this, protect it 100% and know it'll be there when your mom and your family needs it the most? So again, it's not new money. Your clients have the money. It's explaining to them the repositioning of that money. Now with National Guardian Life, they have some really nice brochures. We use the two that flank that Understanding Medicaid, which is that Funeral Expense Trust, and the NGL Estate Planning Trust. Going back to that case I was telling you about on the 1035 exchange, I went out and saw those clients. I walked them through the whole process. And she looked at me and she said to me, John, you've done annuities with us, and you know one thing about us for sure. We're not making any decision today. We need a night to think about it. And I looked at her and I said, well, you know I did the annuities for you, and you know one thing about me. I don't mind anybody thinking things over, but the way to make a decision when everything is fresh in your mind. So you know how I do business. Take the night to think it over, but I'm going to call you at 1 o'clock tomorrow, and I just need to know if you want to move forward with the next appointment or not. True story, 9 o'clock the next morning, I left this brochure with them the night before. She called my office, said, John, everything you explained made sense. We read back through the brochure. We want to move forward. Let's get the appointment set. And that was on that 75,000 1035 exchange we did. So these brochures can help you. You can put your information on the back of the brochure if you want to use them as a leave behind. Maybe you have a contact at the church or at your doctor's office where you can leave literature. They're great pieces to leave behind. Now, this is free with National Guardian Life. These are laminated, very well done planning guides. And I was always taught, whether it's an annuity or a National Guardian Life plan, whatever I was engaging the client in to buy from me, that it's always good to leave the client a task while you're getting their funds to the company and getting them a contract to keep them engaged. So I leave this with my clients and I tell them, hey, while I'm getting your policy done, I need you to fill out this information. And I tell them the story about my dad. And I tell them that, hey, if my dad would have had this planning guide and he would have completed it and had a National Guardian Life policy, I could have taken the policy and this guide and I could have walked in and handed it to the funeral director and sat quietly while they got all the information from the horse's mouth that they needed. Everything down to the favorite flower, who do you want to be your pallbearers, all that information is in here. And so we have the client fill that out so that when we go back, they have it to put with their policy. Now, in full disclosure, of course, not everybody fills it out, but we are real sticklers that, hey, even after we deliver the policy, if they haven't done it, this is something that needs to be completed. But at that point, that's up to them. So I love talking about National Guardian Life. Again, I was introduced to them almost 15 years ago. I can tell you, I've been in this business since 1987. This is the only company I've ever dealt with in my career that I can tell you I've never had one issue with them. Not one, not from getting things issued to getting paid to paying the company at a time of death to working with my clients in a professional manner to helping me out in the middle of a sales appointment if I need to reach out to them. They are first class and absolutely know what they are doing from A to Z. That's not a paid endorsement either. I only get paid when I submit business. So again, they have a great website. I'm going to encourage you to use this once you become contracted with IAMS. It'll do everything from calculate your premiums. You can go in, your commissions are paid very rapidly. I sent that $25,000 in on a Monday. We do 2-day mail. They received it on Wednesday. Friday, the commissions were in my account. It has PowerPoint presentations like the one I showed you where they buy the policy, it goes into the trust, and then it pays out to the funeral home that you can download onto your, if you're using an iPad or a laptop or you're running appointments in your office so that you have something you can walk your clients through. But anything you would need to do business-wise, it's there to support you. And then they also have that 1-800 number, and I will assure you when you call them, you're going to get an answer. You're going to get a live person. If you're in an appointment, you have a question, that's what they're there for. Pick that phone up and give them a buzz. So why sell the product? All of your clients need it and are thinking about it. It's a great income opportunity. The trusts are free. There's no fees. There's possibly no other advisors in your area even talking to people about this product. The funds are totally portable. Again, they can be used at any funeral home. I just went through the company that we're using to fund this program. And then it's going to give your clients that peace of mind, and you will get referrals from this once you help that client. Trust me, you will get referrals, and then it's very easy to do. You've got your 2 pieces of paper, you've got your state disclosure form, submit the application, and get paid. If you don't do it, someone else will. We have a lot, we've probably, I don't know the number of agents, but over the past 6 years, it's just grown dramatically. So again, get out there, talk to your current clients and your new clients about it. If you have just 2 couples a month that you're doing reviews or you're mentioning this to, and they only did 10,000 on each of themselves, you can pick up $40,000 to your bottom line. And I just did that over a 10-month period because I know in this business, one of the reasons the majority of us are in this business is we like to control our time, and you can do that work over that 10-month period and really add some substantial income that you're missing out on in your practice right now. I'm going to skip through this. Actually, I'll point it out. But the commissions have been lowered a little bit. Once you're licensed, you'll see that new commission schedule. They're not dramatic, but they have had to kind of, based on the interest rates in the insurance environment, they've lowered them a little. But even at this, if you got a 66 to 70-year-old and you went out and they both qualified for the standard plan and you put 10,000 in each, that's a $2,200 commissionable sale. And above all that, you've done what's right for the client and you've helped them out tremendously. We are updating this schedule for our next webinars in our academy, but once you do become licensed, they'll send you out the commission schedules. We don't need to worry about that. That's already going on. They haven't announced their new trip. They will. I've been on their sales conference. It's all first class all the way. On that topic, you know, one of my mentors always told me, if you make a sales conference, look for the top guys that are at the conference, the top 10, and pick their brain about what they're doing. They're more than happy to share their successes with you. You can learn and then take that back and implement that into your business. That's how I've grown Entingh Financial Services. It's been through hard work and then learning from others who have already come before me and perfected the ideas. So some of the biggest challenges, again, it's just like me when I sold my first annuity. I barely knew anything. Get comfortable with the concept, talk about it all the time, learn how to present it to your clients, keep it on the top of your mind, every client, every day. So one of the things that we've done, excuse me, with insurance agency marketing services is anybody that gets licensed through insurance agency marketing services with National Guardian Life, we've got this guide for beneficiaries that we developed. Just a quick backstory as we're winding down here. I had a very good client that passed away about 6 years ago, probably 7 now I think about it. But when she passed away, I had about $500,000 of annuities with her. Her daughter called me and she said, "Hey, John, just wanted to let you know Mom passed away." And I said, "Well, I'm really sorry to hear that. Once you guys get through what you need to get through, we'll set an appointment and talk about her finances that we have of hers." And she said to me words I never wanted to hear again. "John, don't worry about it. We've already talked to the guy over at the bank. He's going to handle everything for us." Well, I made a commitment. I wasn't going to let that happen again, or at least I was going to put up a fight. So I developed this guide for beneficiary. What it allowed us to do was go out and see all of our clients, collect all new data on their finances, then to be able to go back in and talk to them about things that, quite frankly, some of them hadn't even shared with us before, but this organizer brought it to the table. And then over a 6-month period, we wrote over $1.5 million of new annuity premium, 200,000 of traditional single premium life, and 150,000 of National Guardian Life just from using this beneficiary guide. And again, practice makes perfect. We kept using it, and we now get calls from clients. And here's why. This is what the front of it looks like. Once you're licensed, you'll get this from Sean at our marketing team. He can put your company information on there, but you can see what it's for. For help settling my estate, please call my advisor. This has allowed us to receive phone calls from beneficiaries and to not lose the assets to competitors. So this is what the front cover of it looks like. This is a letter that goes in it. Again, you can use this letter, just change your information. I'm sure you'll feel the same way when you get a chance to read through the letter. But this just tells them, hey, that's what we're here for. We care. We've been working with your family. We have everything in place to help you go through and settle this estate. Now, you don't see this in what I'm going to show you next, but behind that letter is probably 10 to 12 pages of everything that needs to be done at death, a checklist of all documents that need to be collected, pre-written letters to credit card companies, pension companies. What do I need to do with Social Security? Who do I contact? That's all in there behind this. We don't put all those out there, but that's really the meat of it. But here's the financial organizer that we use. So what we're doing is we're telling them basically what we told them about the organizer with National Guardian Life and the policy. We're saying this to them. If you complete this organizer with us and we're fully honest with each other and we complete it together, if I'd never met you before, I could walk in, pick up your beneficiary guide with your complete finances behind it, and without ever meeting you, I could help settle your estate. So we go through this with them. Again, we're just collecting all new data. This is where people shared with us, and these were current clients. They shared some stuff with us or stuff they'd forgotten about that we ended up managing in our practice for them. And you can see question 8 here. It's already in here for you. Have you prepaid your funeral? If they say no, I know that's a good opportunity. If they say they have, my next question is, do you have any funds that you would like protected from a nursing home and to know with complete confidence is going to go to your family, regardless if you spend all of your other assets? And if they say, yes, I do, then we're going to circle back around and talk about the estate planning trust. So again, this has helped us to make sure that not only are we keeping the business that we did, but as you all know, you don't have every piece of business in the house. But if you're the first one in when someone passes away, you got a chance to not only preserve what you've done and rework with those assets, but to also see the other assets and maybe have an opportunity to pull those over to your side of the fence. There's a little note sheet. And with that, I am done. I want to say one thing, Tony, before you take any questions. I know it's a Monday. I know you're all extremely busy. We had a huge turnout here today, and thank you for taking your time out of your business to learn more about National Guardian Life.
John, thanks so much. I'm gonna switch this back over to me because we have some questions for you.
Perfect.
All right, so let me make myself the presenter. Okay, do you see that?
I do.
All right. Okay, so since Asset Guard is not in Florida, is there an alternative?
So I can't speak of an alternative as far as a funeral trust. I think Florida has just, they're not allowing that immediate exclusion, if you will, of the asset. So that's why, and I have a friend who lives in Florida, and I've told him this, just use the estate planning trust. The difference is, yes, it's a 5-year look back period. It's not going to protect it immediately. But if you haven't done any planning, even if you're just looking to set money aside for your funeral, let's just say it's $15,000, put it into there. Put the $15,000 in there and get that clock started on the 5-year look back, and then you can still use it for your final expenses when you pass away.
Okay. Next question that I have is, how much does Medicaid allow for funeral expense? Doesn't that vary by state?
Yeah, and that's why we reference that on that slide, is that is the limits per state for either using the NGL funeral trust and then the estate planning trust to always be 100,000. The only variance you're going to see is with the funeral trust and what you can exclude immediately.
Okay. I'm just seeing if there's. All right. Hang on, I got one more here. The 5-year past client mentioned for $100 on each, what approximate account value? Account value after 5 years. What are their ages?
Well, if you're just asking about an account value, that's if it's 1% interest credited daily, and it's simple interest. If you put in 100,000 at the end of 5 years, you're going to have 105,000.
Oh,
And I'm going to say something. Remember, this is not about how big we can get the money. Yes,
right.
you can get better interest rates elsewhere. You can put your money in the market, maybe get a bigger return, but that's not what this client's looking for. This client is saying, hey, I understand the return's not as great, but what good is a big return if I have to give it all to the nursing home? I'll take the smaller return and know it's going to my family. That's the concept.
Okay, and here's one I've never seen before on all the webinars we've done, John. What is considered funeral cost besides service, casket, plot, etc.? Can it pay death certificate, etc.?
Yeah, and that's where that, Tony, the form that, or the slide that we had up there that was explaining everything that it would cover.
Mm-hmm.
And though, so if you look at that slide, you're going to see it covers everything that you're going to need to do a traditional funeral from
Okay.
A to Z. It's got everything from the, the death certificates, even down to the obituary notices in the paper.
Gotcha.
Yep, even if you say you had a funeral expense or an estate planning trust and you passed away, that money can even be used if you passed away in Florida and you wanted to get the body back to Ohio and it was 10 grand,
Mm-hmm.
that money can be used for the transfer of the deceased as well. So it's anything you would need to get the funeral completed.
Anything funeral related?
Yes.
All right. Okay, that was the last question. So one final polling question from our end. If you would like more information regarding NGL, I am launching a polling question on that. And I'll leave that up for a little bit. John, as always, we always get a lot of people that say yes to this. So
Well, I'm again just going to close out my end and tell everybody thank you very much for taking your time out of your business. I know if you're as busy as I am today, it only seems like an hour, but you can get a lot done in an hour. So again, thanks for your time today. I appreciate it.
yes, and I would concur with that. Thank you everyone for taking time out of your busy schedule to attend this webinar. Again, I will follow up with those of you that are looking for more information and looking to get appointed with NGL. Until next time, you guys have a great week. Thanks so much.